What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hustling Sideways. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love, and I'm a keynote and motivational speaker.
And it's episode 39 of Hustling Sideways.
That's what it is. And we are here, 39, which is one less than 40.
The big
so we're
3-9.
coming up on a milestone.
That's what they call it, the big 3-9,
They do.
right?
The kids call it that, I think. Yeah, I don't know what kids those are, but they call it that. Alan's coming off of a stretch of Lollapalooza, of Summerfest.
Yes.
And now you're finally home with your feet up. And he hasn't showered in weeks, and he's just here in his house.
You don't have to tell them that part.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's
no.
a good point. I probably shouldn't say that. But you are off of your wild stretch.
Yes, festival season is winding down, sort of. I might do one more in Chicago. I don't know. I haven't been home the last 3 weekends, so it's been...
Ellen's wife has just been calling him constantly. Where the hell are you?
No, she was with me last weekend.
Oh, good point. Okay, fair enough.
But
Don't take away from... That was a joke, though. Don't take away from the joke. Yeah.
Oh, I left her back in Madison. Don't worry about it. No. No. Festival season is winding down. Things are not as crazy, knock on wood. But I'm think I'm pretty much shut down for hopefully much of into fall and into winter.
So best Summerfest show, best Lollapalooza show.
Oh God, best Summerfest show. I saw Portugal the Man, and they were amazing. Best Lollapalooza show is a little hardcore band called Turnstile.
Nice.
Even though I can say that I've seen Metallica, now I've seen Green Day, but I had never seen them before.
Yeah, that was it.
Knocked them both off in the course of 4 days.
Awesome.
But it's been a lot of crowds, 100,000 people at Lollapalooza. 50 of them have showered, and it's been an experience for sure. But always fun, always glad to do it.
We're happy to have you back. Glad.
Jim, you've been traveling a little bit too.
I have, yeah.
Some White Sox games.
A couple Sox games. I got a bandana now from Alan to go along with
Lollapalooza.
From Lollapalooza with the South Side logo. So I'm good. The speaking circuit's actually about to come up, and when this podcast comes out, I will have given 3 keynotes since then. So
there you go.
About a week, which is going to be really fun. So more to come.
So now
on
you're
that.
busy.
I am busy. I'm officially busy.
Yeah.
So we're excited to be here. We have a really special guest with us today. Someone who I've connected with on social media and just has a wonderful message and a ton of great stuff going on. So we're going to get into that. And her name is Maria Humphreys. And Maria goes kind of by strong body, strong soul, podcast host, inspirational speaker, a wisdom top mentor, and so many things in between that. Maria, welcome to Hustling Sideways.
Hi, you guys. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so very much for inviting me onto the show. I really appreciate it. And hi, everybody, listeners out there, viewers, whatever platform we happen to be on.
Absolutely.
So amazing.
Totally. Well, we're happy to have you. So, Maria, first of all, where are you based? Where are you calling us from?
I'm in Southern California.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Southern California, near LA a little bit. And it's so fun to hear you talk about Lollapalooza because I was in the concert industry for a long time.
Okay.
So music is a big passion of mine. Jim and I have talked about that a little bit in the past.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
It really informs a lot of who I am and what I do out here too, because sound is so important to me. The audio is key.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
now it's all connecting of you're a
Yes.
podcaster, you're getting the sound equipment together, getting everything. Did you do anything earlier? Have you been to Coachella? Because that's one of the ones I have on my checklist.
I have not, but I only live a couple of hours from it. So I've been in there in the aftermath. I've been around during the weekend of the Stagecoach Festival, which is country music. Coachella would be more my type of music, however, but that was kind of an accident. But there's nothing like going to a live show too. I mean, it's so interesting because you talk about the value of audio, music, obviously, but going to a concert, it's pretty amazing.
So you've got a lot of things going on. In addition to being a speaker, you're a wisdom top mentor. You have all of the things that Jim just ran down the line, which I am slightly blanking on.
It's okay.
Lots of things going on.
Podcast host, all the things, the things, yes.
How did kind of all of this journey kind of start for you? Where did it all begin with?
Well, I guess, first of all, when I was a little girl, when I was a child, I was always the one in my family that was always the voice of, like, my grandmother would complain that it was raining. And I would comment, we need the rain so the flowers will grow. So I've always been kind of the voice of gratitude, I think, in troubled times through our life. I've I've had the fortune of being next to people in my family that have died actually through hospice and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been really the fun stuff and the really serious stuff. And I think that has really led me to the type of podcast that I have, because it is about full ranges of energy, personality. And I do that on purpose because I want other people to embrace their own ranges. And I say ranges because I'm talking about meditation and spirituality sometimes, but I'm also sometimes doing funny shows about parenting, or I've interviewed comedians that are so much fun. I totally believe that laughter is a huge part of healing.
Yes.
So it's a range of stuff. I think it's really important not to get overwhelmed with how much technology is out here, because there are so many different types, right? We can go on and on about, whether it's wisdom or LinkedIn new audio or TikTok. I have 2 TikTok accounts, by the way. But, wherever I think my voice might help people.
Yeah.
That's where I send it.
Okay. Now, the meditation, the inspirational sort of aspect of things, that's a conscious decision. When does that kind of begin for you? At what point in your life do you decide, hey, this is something I really want to focus energy on?
Well, I was raised Catholic. And so religion has always been a part of my life. As I got older, I got away from it. And then when I got married and had kids, I got a little more interested in it again. But I'd never bought into the guilt.
Okay.
I never thought God was trying to punish us. And I never believed that. And so I also believe that other people, no matter what religion, can be good people too. There's no one right way. And that's what I've always embraced. And that's what I've embraced with my kids and my family. So meditation for me was a natural progression. I got into a serious meditation probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I loved it so much. Yeah, it's just really focused. And I like to explain it as it's helping us access our power. It's not just for relaxation and sleeping.
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you say that's like the biggest misunderstanding of meditation, like that one, that thing you run into most of people are like, what? No, that's not what it's for. If they're like nervous to get into it, or is that kind of like just to relax? Like, is that usually the thing that you hear of for it?
I think the number one thing is that it's a religion.
Ah, interesting.
I think a lot of people, first thing, they think it's weird that it's some sort of a cult or religion or something like that. And it's not. And there are so many different styles of meditation. Prayer is a type of meditation.
Right. Exactly.
It's a centering, it's a quieting. Sometimes it can be noisy. Sometimes I lead meditations that are laughing meditations. And we do go the up and down. It's interesting because I'm also trained, I'm a NASM certified personal trainer. And a lot of when I was studying to get certified, just my brain just automatically goes in sync with the types of things that we're talking about, whether it's balance, flexibility, fluidity. All of that is part of our energy body as well as our physical body. So it all works together. And I think especially when I'm talking to kids, I teach kids meditation. And sometimes I go to people's homes, to Girl Scout troops and stuff, right? And a lot of it is about anti-bullying, because I want them to say no.
Sure.
And I want their posture to change, their physicality to be different. And meditation can help make that happen. Great. It's so powerful. And that's why a lot of it is the audio.
Totally. No, I'm with it. And I've actually discovered rather recently the power of meditation. And I've always had anxiety. I have ADHD, and so there was never something I could really find myself. I am a person of faith, so I do pray, which I like. That is totally a form of meditation. But I wanted to get into more of like the actual practice and really set aside time for it. And I have an app now, the Headspace app, and I've just sort of tried to put myself into it. Some days I'm like, not today, and other days I'm like, I really need to start with 10 minutes of this to just be. And it's amazing how it can center you and really to give yourself focus as the day goes on, and then to come back to that feeling is what I found too. When I get stressed out or I get anxious, I can come back to what I had felt that morning and find myself to just breathe and walk around and do it. And I mean, I love how holistic your approach is. Everything is very connected, and you realize that, it sounds like, at a very young age, and can continue to explore it and what it's built for you to really have this brand of like, no, you have a lot of things that are in your control, and if you feel this sort of equilibrium between everything, it can make a big difference for your daily life.
Absolutely. And the way I view things informs how I treat everything in my life. Yep. Whether it's walking through Costco and feeling like I know people, and you smile at people, and it's okay if I don't know their name. Mm-hmm. You can feel who you like. You can laugh about certain things together and not even have to communicate. And I think it's really important. It's really cool how science is actually catching up with that power too. We always know, body language, or when you enter a room, people can feel whether you are angry or whether you are happy.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And we're just so connected through that energy. And people work really hard to describe it and to analyze it. And sometimes we just have to admit, maybe we'll never know exactly how it works. We just have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, totally. And so Jim and I both actually went to school for communications. I'm sure you had that too, where like body language was like in it.
That was my major.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
So we were both communications majors. Different degrees of fitting that we're all on a podcast together. But we did kind of go over that too, of like body language is important because it affects your whole conversation
all the time.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it can definitely affect their demeanor. One thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about that though, was, people think of meditation. I think a lot of people think of, you got to sit in a dark room, cross-legged, arms out, you know what I mean? Like everything's got to be quiet, or you're listening to like an ASMR thing or something, right?
Right.
For me, I kind of find my like headspace when I'm like, I'm a runner. So when I'm running, like that has been like, otherwise I'm normally, I'm a guy I'm on the go.
Yeah.
There's something happening all the time, like literally morning to night, working on something, doing something. Not healthy, but it's just how
we won't talk about that.
It is what it is. Yeah.
But when I'm running, that is where I'm able to like kind of like lock down and like just think about the run and like forget the 10,000 other things that are going on, the other fires to put out. So is that something that you run across too, where people think that like meditation is I have to sit in this room and just be quiet, or it could be like you can be active and that be meditating in that sense too, right?
Absolutely. And it's so interesting, while you're talking, you're just, I was a swimmer. And so I can completely relate to that too. I'm also a scuba diver. I love the silence of being under the water and not having to speak and having that breathing, and sometimes being a little scared or a little nervous or trying to win the race.
Right.
But it's me. I'm the one I'm competing with.
Yeah.
Even if it is a race. So I think that's an important thing to learn. I think that's an important skill to learn for all of us, is that we can be on our own.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid to be on their own.
That's very true.
And,
100%.
That can be huge problems, of course, for relationships. Now that we're in the pandemic or coming out of it, but our lives have changed. So the sense of isolation that people have at this time can be overwhelming. So I think that when you learn tools like meditation, you can learn to manage your alone time better. And then your relationships improve. And I think that communication, I think that all of us, need to recognize that perhaps our friends that are in our immediate vicinity, or our loved ones, our spouse, isn't necessarily interested in exactly the same things that we are interested in too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of times I'm telling people in meditation workshops not to be afraid. It doesn't mean your life is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to give up friends or give up watching The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or whatever you're into. It doesn't mean you have to alter. It means that your perspective, your perception on life is going to change.
Sure. Yeah, it's almost like you're finding a way to tap in with yourself and get into communication with yourself, kind of thing.
The most important person, right?
Right.
To feel like you have. I mean, the amount of people that probably feel like their thoughts or their actions are not matching up is really a cause for fear. I mean, they have to have that moment, right, when their body's listening to their mind and vice versa. And I mean, I can imagine how many clients you have, that feel that they're not in that level, and you try and bring them into that space.
Yeah. And that's the whole conversation about imposter syndrome and self-esteem, confidence. I'm working with some clients tomorrow, actually. They're in Santiago, Chile. Awesome. And it's a financial tech company that's starting to break into the US market. They speak English, but their primary language is Spanish. And what they're finding is that their executives and such are a little too formal in their English speaking.
Got it. Yep.
So they've asked me for help in bringing more everyday language. Okay. And one of my first talks is about meditation, because that's a subject that's completely unrelated to financial matters that they usually are working on. So it gives us a common ground, and I don't speak Spanish, so they're going to have to speak English.
Right.
So it's going to be really fun, but I
cool.
think you can see it. And one of the CEO, he noticed like a year ago from him working with a friend of mine on English speaking, that he went in and got a deal for like $80 million because his confidence level changed.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And his posture, and he was more able to communicate with people at a different level instead of being that really pristine type of English and being very much just in the financial world speech. So that helped a lot. That's so huge. I'm really, really excited about this particular endeavor, because it's going to be fun, and it's going to be like on Zoom like this. It's going to be perfect. And they have companies all over the world, but they'll be here in the US soon too.
That's awesome. I do hope the second lesson is the morning ritual of good morning. How are you? Doing good. Thanks. How are you? Fine. Thanks. That's all they got to know. That's the lingo.
Yeah. Have a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it's funny because one of the exercises that I'm going to do with them tomorrow actually is going into a little bit of a meditation and closing your eyes. I'm going to talk them through it. It's mostly a conversational class, so it won't be very long, but I'm going to ask them to imagine a beautiful place that they've been in their lives that makes them feel peaceful. And the thing about meditation for me that never worked, kind of, if somebody was talking about being on a beach somewhere, I usually couldn't get there with them. Like the guided meditation didn't work for me for a long time.
Okay.
Because I just was like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not on that beach. I'm not on that mountain, whatever the case may be. So I love to give people the freedom to allow their own connection to come through. So it's going to be fun because in English, they're going to need to explain to me after that meditation where they were.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not a simple answer for people whose English isn't their first language. So it's going to be really fun to see what they come up with.
I love
each
that.
of them different. Each of them different.
And that's like, I mean, that has to be like the innate effect of to have that be so subjective and intimate for them. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, when you feel like you're connecting with something on your own terms versus someone guiding you on their terms, that's a very different experience. Because I've experienced the beach example. I think it was my high school teacher. Had us do meditation. Granted, I was 16, so I was a little immature, but he had done that and sort of dictated like the thoughts, and I was like, this isn't, I think he said like you're in a cornfield or something like weird, and I'm like, I don't want to be in there, like I feel a mosquito coming, like that's like that, so
you thought
having
very
my own
literal.
spot, 100%. I was sitting in this cornfield and breaking crops, but it was important to have that, like that mindset changes everything to me. I mean, that's going to be a really impactful thing.
That's so funny because I have this meditation that I want to record. By the way, I'm on the Insight Timer meditation app. That's awesome. The free app that I'm on. I have meditations out there. Okay. But I have this meditation that I've been wanting to record for a while, and it's about scuba diving. It's about the sounds and the feeling of floating. But a part of me, I have to be very clear when I explain in the notes what that meditation is about, because some people might freak out.
Yeah.
If I'm too descriptive, I don't want to go into all the equipment necessarily, but I do want to talk about breathing.
Totally.
And that trust that you have enough oxygen. I might not say that in the meditation. I'm not sure yet. Right. But I don't want to scare anybody.
I could just imagine people start choking or something. Like,
yeah, so you're below water. You're plunged below water, 40 feet down.
And try and get out.
You
Good luck.
You can't see the surface.
Everything's falling. The boat has left. Everything's falling apart.
Yes. Oh, you feel a hand on your shoulder.
Oh, God. Yes. Oh, that would be devastating. No, that sounds good, though.
That would be bad to watch, to listen to, and try and meditate and be peaceful. One of the things that we do talk about here on the show is the business aspect of things too. Now, you mentioned you have a client in Chile, but you have clients all over. How do you go about getting your name out there and introducing yourself to people? What's kind of the methodology for that?
Well, it's been tough because I think with the pandemic, a lot of us have shifted gears. Before the pandemic, I was teaching in local studios, like yoga studios. And I would do 3-hour workshops, and, I would have 30 people in there, and combining my personal training side with the meditation side, because I love using the breathing and the meditation with movement as well. But obviously that kind of petered out. Now I kind of rely on some of the Insight Timer stuff is an passive income now, because of the recording nature of it, right? The podcast, I've gone through phases where I've had more sponsors than other times. It keeps changing. And then people actually have found me, oddly enough, through social media, through Facebook. I do work with clients one-on-one through Zoom, and it's like a 30-minute spiritual guidance session.
Sure.
Where I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do for those people until we start to work together.
Okay.
Because there are so many different modalities that I can use and see what their personality and see what they need. And I love doing that. I also used to, I didn't realize for a long time that my voice actually helps people. And I was in the music industry, like I said, and so my job was to promote bands. I never in a million years would have imagined that I would be with the one with the mic.
Right.
And especially when it's recorded for the future. It's just, I feel so wonderful about it because my kids are going to be able to hear me when I'm not here anymore.
Yeah. That is cool. That is something I think about, actually.
I love that.
Well, I mean, with the amount of stuff that I create, the amount of stuff that we create.
All the time.
Like, that will be the legacy,
And
not to get too deep about
it. It's true, though. I mean, because I especially, the first point that you made, like your voice can have value or impact. I mean, when I first got into speaking, in 2015, I was 23 years old and had no idea what I was doing. And I kind of wrote this, like, talk of, like, maybe, I'll do it at one conference one time and, like, hopefully that will go well. Did I ever think I would be doing it 100 times, like, across, the country to hundreds of, like, no way. Yeah. Like, in no world did I ever think that people would, like, want that at their school. And then like I would have people having impact and value off of my story. Just not something. And I still to this day feel weird saying it out loud. Honestly.
And you're using your voice to tell people to use their voice.
Exactly. That's one of my big topics.
Yes.
And it's so important. And it's such a good point. I mean, I know we all have our lines of work, but the things that we do and the things that we create, we put our passion into. And and they mean something. Like people actually take things away from them, and it's a very weird thing to this day for me to say out loud, because like I'm still weirdly not comfortable with it. It's like one of those things of like I never just thought that would happen, and now it's like in full swing, and I'm like, oh, I guess that's the thing that we're doing, you know. So I love that, and to your point too, it'll live on far after our time, you know, here, and you know, who knows when that's going to happen. And it's a legacy, and I think that's why not a lot of people make a legacy like that, and whether or not you know how many people look at it or think about it, it's still important, and it's there for their consumption should they choose. It is.
And I'll say too, before the pandemic, I was starting to work with people more, coaching them on how to do live streams. Because like I said at the beginning, I love going live. It just, there's something about it. I can feel the audience and I can deliver whatever I'm trying to say. It just gives me a certain energy. It just does. And so people in my area, I was in a big networking group in my area, and these realtors and financial people, they would just, at first they were like, what the hell is she doing? Then they were like, well, how can we do that too? So it's kind of fun to help them, bring them out of their shell. And I'm always saying, you know, you don't have to be like me, or you don't have to be like Tony Robbins. You don't have to go and yell at, you know, you don't have to be like anybody else, just be you, but be comfortable. Make sure you're speaking clearly, make sure you're looking at the camera, make sure your lighting's right, whatever the case may be. Or oftentimes I'll tell people, especially realtors, for instance, go through the house you're selling, even without the camera on you, and have a good little mic. You can do a lavalier mic or something and do a little run through of the house, do an open house, a walkthrough, and put it on social media. That's a great reel right there.
Exactly. Why not?
And yes. And it's amazing how social media in general keeps evolving, of course, between TikTok. Like I said, I have 2 TikTok accounts, by the way. One is a little bit silly, because I have my kids on there a little bit, and I promote the podcast on there. But my other account is Strong Body, Strong Soul. It matches the title of my podcast. You won't see my face on there. I only share my photography and videos with music and my voiceover. So you will be able to go for like a 3-minute breathing meditation a little bit, because I'm intent on showing people that TikTok isn't necessarily just for all the silly stuff. And I know a lot of people are doing that, but that's what I'm doing too. And it's a good way to get my voice out there, like free samples. So if they like my voice, they can come on over, go to Insight Timer or the podcast. On the podcast, like you've probably guessed, I'm kind of a range on the podcast too. So it's really fun. It's really fun. I love helping amplify other people's voices through interviews and such.
I think that's one of your gifts, honestly. I mean, from the time that we've connected on Twitter, that's something I know you're passionate about, and something you do often, and really get people involved and tag people, which is really cool. And not everyone's like that. You know, some people on social media are selfish, or really just focus on what they want. And I know, you know, we've kind of formed some connections, and there are people who like that too, of like tag people. I think it's a gift. It's really cool to have that, to have support like that.
And I wouldn't go, some people are selfish, scammer, troll people, but a lot of people just don't take that extra step. They don't realize. I think they don't realize, like point. You guys, whoever is here listening or watching, please go ahead and make a comment on this particular show right now while we are talking. You can share the link with your friends. It's so easy to do. You can check the show notes. I'm sure that these guys are going to put all the links in there in the show notes. So you'll be able to find us and tell us if anything in here resonated with you. It's so key. I think what happens, especially in social audio, like we're talking, whether it's wisdom or spaces or what have you, I think people who are speaking sometimes are acknowledging the audience, because obviously there wouldn't be a show without an audience, but they kind of are forgetting to say, hey, you guys, I'm talking to you.
That's very true.
It's a good point. Make it more personal.
We do talk about our story a little bit, but it's never, I guess, we don't go out of our way to be like, and you can do X, Y, Z too.
Yeah, sometimes like at the end, but for the most part, when we're here, it's a good call. I mean, because that's who it's for. It's for the people that we're talking to, and to acknowledge that like this is specifically for. Let's do it right now. This is specifically for you. That felt good. We should do that more often.
There you go.
All kidding aside, it's a really important thing that we have, that we just don't always acknowledge often enough.
Right.
Yeah.
This conversation is meant to help you guys.
Exactly.
That's why we're spending our time having a conversation. You are absolutely part of the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we hope, the end goal is that somebody takes maybe not the full length that we talk, but some little nugget
bits
out of
pieces.
each
piece. Of course.
Because we certainly do as well. I mean,
and the beauty is of all of this stuff when it's recorded is that if for some reason in a show they got really excited and we're talking really fast, you can always go listen to it again.
True.
How about that?
Which is a problem that I have.
You go back?
I often talk too fast. I
thought you meant that you go back to podcasts.
I also go back, but generally I'm a fast talker.
I have a hard time listening to really good shows sometimes because I want to take notes and it gets me going and it distracts me because it like invigorates me. I want to go do the thing that the people are talking about. So go tweet about this show, you guys.
There we go. So part of, kind of what I'm picking up here is that there's the mindset of like having meditation and being spiritual and inspirational and things like that. But you're also adapting that to new mediums in the sense that we're talking TikTok, we're talking podcasts, things like that.
Yes.
Do you enjoy the challenge of jumping to the new thing, or is it more like, oh my God, we have to get on to the new thing? Because
I don't find it a challenge. I love it. I actually really, my mind just works like that for some reason. I don't know why. I'm working with a client right now that's running for a political office in our area. So for her campaign, she's very, very cautious. So when I'm making reels and stuff, I really have to pull in the reins.
Sure.
But on her stories, we need to be flashy and say, send in the postcards and stuff like that. That's a little frustrating because I'm very intuitive about it.
Right.
But it's always whatever I'm talking about, whether it's what kind of a mic I'm using or my roadcaster or what kind of a windscreen to use, the idea that perfection is overrated. My goal in podcasting quite often, especially with my Facebook group, is to encourage people to use their voice. Even if it's not perfect. Who cares? You can have your iPhone and you can start a podcast.
Exactly.
You can go ahead and talk on Wisdom, on Twitter Spaces, on all this stuff. You can go into a room where the people are talking about techie stuff, which I've started to do on Clubhouse now. Just last night, I hosted a room. That's what they are on Clubhouse, in case you don't know. 5:00 every Sunday, kind of, it's been turning out that we've been doing it. But last night was about Club Deck, which is an app that makes it possible for you to manage and host your Clubhouse rooms on your desktop. It has all these bells and whistles, and we're testing it out. It's a little bit too much for me because if I have too much going on, I can lose my train of energy.
Right.
And I want to maintain full focus on the conversation with you guys and with the audience here.
Sure.
That's why I love going live, but it does kind of distract me. I usually will go live and I won't look at the comments until afterwards.
That would really get me distracted 100%.
Right?
We do it once in a while for Breaking and Entering Radio, and it can be a lot. If you're not,
you have to have a little team. It's okay if you have people watching your back.
Exactly.
But it's confusing. It can be confusing.
I really vibe with people's voice does not have to be perfect. It should just be authentic. Whatever you have, whatever you need to say, put it out there, and don't feel like you have to have a standard set of rules to follow. We're all just doing this.
Although one caveat to that is make sure your volume is up enough.
100%. Yes.
Sometimes, whatever country you're from, wherever you're from, sometimes people don't realize. So I think you're doing people a huge favor if you are in a social audio room or space or wherever you happen to be. If you say, can you please move the mic closer to your mouth?
Right.
That's huge.
You would be doing them a huge favor.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. We've run across that as podcasters before. We had an episode where a microphone was backwards.
Yes.
That was on me.
Midway through, but it worked out because
it
was for Riggs, and he was in here and he was talking loud.
Well, don't
anyway.
tell him what episode to go back to.
It's fine. They'll figure it out. They'll be good. Episode 13, I think it was. They'll be good.
You mean you didn't go into Audacity and like try and balance?
Oh no, we immediately
and blah blah blah.
That one was all over it.
My editing went to the test for that one, but it was fine.
So Maria, you have
it's hard.
Yeah, no, you have so much going on. You know, you have your time committed to different places, and just really balancing a lot. You know, where do you see like this going in 5 years or in 6 years, 7? You know, what's next for the what would you have area you want to focus on more, or do you like all this in conjunction with each other? Or what do you think is next for you in your future?
I think I like going forward with the packaging, the combination that I have right now, but I would love to be discovered. By Spotify or something, and be the voice of reason, because I think a lot of people are forgetting some of the stuff that you guys and I just talked about. It's about your why. You can talk till you're blue in the face, giving people advice on what mic to use, but it's like, why? Why do you want to speak? People complaining all the time, no one's listening to my podcast. And they're mad about it. And I'm thinking, why would someone listen to you if you're mad about it? And not having fun? Like, that doesn't make sense.
100%. That's so true.
The audio, and you can't fake audio. That's the thing. That's what I have trouble personally with consistency. Because I feel like if I set a certain time every day that I'm going to go on Wisdom, for instance, or what have you, I get a little nervous because I have to step up and be on. And it's really an emotional energy. It really takes a lot of oomph to make it happen. If you're not there, then don't push record. I have pushed record on, things where I'm crying or sad. Of course, show all your sides, but you can't really do a show sometimes from that vibe.
No,
So
it's difficult
you have to
for
be
sure.
careful.
Yeah. You have to kind of get yourself, and really to lean back to meditation, kind of have to get yourself in the right space to start a show.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a little bit of a routine that I have, like certain things that got to be, like the dog gets walked before every show, or if it's a Red Bull and before the day that I'm recording something, you know what I mean? Like there's always something
and
that
mine is just I have to drive to Allen's. That's it. I gotta come here.
Well, we're on video, so I had to put some clothes on.
There you go.
There's that too.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
So all sorts of things that you have to use.
Yes.
This has been great. There's been a lot that I think we've pulled from it. You're making a lot of content. You're doing a lot of informative things, things that are helping people, get in touch with themselves as well. What is one kind of main thing?
So.
What's one thing you kind of want to focus on? What's like if we have to point people in your direction to one place, where's the best place to go?
I think I might say Twitter right now.
Okay.
Because all my other platforms are a little bit in flux right now, like my website. If you're interested in meditation, please do go to the Insight Timer app. It's free on your phone, whatever device you happen to have. There is a feature in the Insight Timer app where you can send the teachers thank you gifts through the app. You can pay, and that does accumulate and help because it is time. I think that so many of us are on a mission to help other people, but it's important to keep that balance, that time is precious and everybody can't speak in the same way. And so we really want to thrive. We want everyone to thrive and be able to continue. So I would say Twitter. Oh dear, I have 2 accounts on Twitter now too.
I saw,
Because I have one of my Twitter handles is SBSS for me, all lowercase letters spelled out FOR for me. Strong body, strong soul, like for me. That one is where I'm sharing my ranges.
Okay.
But I've more recently figured out that a lot of my followers in meditation and such aren't necessarily interested in what kind of mic I'm using.
Right.
So I just started another account that's called Techie Maria.
Okay.
And so I'm starting to kind of divvy up my content a little bit along those lines. I'm still a broad range on Strong Body, Strong Soul, but the techie stuff, I'm kind of moving over a little bit. Yeah.
Sure.
So I'll be hosting some more spaces on Twitter also, talking about this kind of stuff. Because like I said, and Jim and I have talked, you know, in some of the spaces in Twitter, for instance, if they're talking about spirituality, for instance, they don't like it. If I'm talking about, hello, I can't hear you.
Right.
Like they kind of don't want to know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. So you got to find a balance there somewhere.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. No,
my gosh.
I love, I mean, obviously you and I have a, you know, great connection, and we love, we're going to keep that going. So
yeah.
I really appreciate it.
And actually, if anybody feels like it, check out the interview that Jim and I did.
Yes.
On Wisdom, the Wisdom app. And the difference with Wisdom out of all the other social media platforms is that it's one-on-one. Only one person gets to come up to the mic as a guest at a time. So I was so thrilled to have Jim on there with me. Yeah.
I'm hopping on there.
Fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a blast.
You should. It's fun, and it's getting a lot of feedback on it right now too. So
Sweet.
I'll help you. Go ahead. When you get on there, let me know and we'll talk over there.
Awesome.
Okay. I like it. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for doing this. We will make sure to check everything that you're making out, and you know, Twitter is the way to do it. Tweet at Maria, but then Twitter is the way to do it. But if people want to get in touch with this podcast as well, we are also on Twitter. We are at Hustlin' Sideways. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. And I think that's all of them.
I think we're on all the
that's
things.
all the ones that we're on for right now.
At the moment, yep.
We have 0 TikTok accounts, but that may have to change.
Well, yeah, check it out. Check it out. And also put this episode, of course, in the Facebook group.
Oh, yes. I'll be posting it. No doubt.
Yeah.
There we go. All sorts of places. So find us wherever you get your podcast. If you're listening for the first time, thank you. Otherwise, you can subscribe to us on any platform that you get your podcast at. If you've got a side hustle of your own, you can send us an email over at hustlingsideways@gmail.com. And it's been a blast. So, Jim, take us out.
Keep on hustling.
We'll see you next time.